go to the FBI website, they've got Osama bin Laden. And if you go to Osama's webpage on the FBI Most Wanted Terrorist list, you'll find that he's been indicted for the 1998 attacks, but not for 9/11.
9/11 is not mentioned on bin Laden's Most Wanted poster because the FBI has no hard evidence connecting Osama bin Laden to 9/11.
The first bin Laden videotape was completely fraudulent.
A German TV network gave an alternative translation. It is completely different from the one given by the American investigators. They are not apparently claiming a role in the 11th of September attacks, but they are simply talking about what happened on September the 11th.
Hello, ma'am?
No steel frame high-rise building has ever collapsed due to fire, and we have over 100 examples.
We got pins. I tried to pocket the fire. We should be able to knock it down with 2 lines.
They had done tests on the few samples they had saved from the fire zones. And those tests proved that the temperatures were very low.
90 to 100 degrees Celsius, not anywhere near hot enough to soften or weaken steel.
It wasn't a roaring inferno. I sensed that the flames were maybe starved for oxygen.
The temperature inside the building was not particularly high, as we can see from the presence of this woman, who is standing at the precise point where the plane impacted.
Their final theories are almost entirely computer-based. And the computer itself is not really accessible. They haven't given it to us to examine.
Even though we have asymmetrical damage and asymmetrical collapse, watch what happens as this building comes down. It's symmetrical and at free fall speed.
As long as the top section of the building is in uniform downward acceleration, it is exerting less force on the lower, stronger, undamaged structure than it would if it were simply sitting motionless. Therefore, it cannot possibly be providing sufficient force to destroy the building. The destruction of the building must be caused by something else.
Does a building that collapses fling its own steel beams sideways up to 600 feet?
If a building falls down that's made of steel, the steel shouldn't be from here across the street speared into a building like an arrow.
Pyroclastic dust clouds generally occur during controlled demolition.
An eyewitness who said there was an explosion on floor 7-8.
30th floor. We hear another explosion. All of a sudden, it was like bang, 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 like bullet shots. And then all of a sudden, 3 tremendous explosions.
We saw a shadow. It looked like a plane. Next thing we know, it was boom, and the floor started shaking. And then we saw debris fall down, and next thing we know, we had to get out of the building. We stuck on the stairs for a while. We finally got down to the lobby. Then we get to the lobby. This is big explosion.
Planes exploded out the front of the World Trade Center. Glass flew everywhere.
Alarm took as though a bomb had exploded there.
Boom! An explosion so hard that pushed us upward. And when I went to verbalize, we hear a boom! All the way on the top.
So I believe the bomb hit the lobby first. And a couple of seconds in the first plane hit.
At 10:30, I tried to leave the building, but as soon as I got outside, I heard a second explosion and another rumble and more smoke and more dust. I ran inside the buildings, the chandelier shook, and again, black smoke filled the air. Within another 5 minutes, we were covered again with more silk and more dust. And then a fire marshal came in and said we had to leave because if there was a third explosion, this building might not last.
In the first 2¼ seconds, this 47-story building drops at free fall speed, which is 8 stories. A building cannot fall at free fall speed and convert all of its gravitational potential energy to kinetic energy and do any other work. It can't crush the 40,000 tons of steel. The structure had to have been removed.
When we made it back to the 8th floor, both buildings were still standing because I looked one way, looked the other way, now there's nothing there. When I got to the 6th floor, before all this happened, when I got to the 6th floor, there was an explosion. That's what forced us back to the 8th floor. Both buildings were still standing. Keep in mind, I told you the fire department came and ran. They came twice. Why? Because building tower 1 fell, then tower 2 fell. And then when they came back with all concern now, like, get me the hell out of here. And they kept asking me, where are you? We don't know where you are. I said, I'm on the north side of the building because when I was on the stairs, I saw north side. All this time, I'm hearing all kinds of explosions. All this time, I'm hearing explosions. And I'm thinking that maybe it's the buses around me that were on fire, the cars on fire. I don't see no, but I'm still hearing these explosions. All right.
First of all, let's go back to your basic premise that there was a pool of molten steel. I know of absolutely no way, no eyewitness who said so, nobody who produced it.
You get down below and you see molten steel running down the channel, like you're in a foundry, like lava.
Still on the rubble. It's still, I believe, 1,100 degrees. The guys still took boots. Just melt within a few hours.
8 weeks later, we still got fires burning. At one point, I think they were about 2,800 degrees.
Underground, it was still so hot that molten metal dripped down the sides of the wall from Building 6.
Heat literally melted them together.
I don't know that that's so.
There's video of it. Molten aluminum is gray in color and doesn't mix with organics such as paper or carbon fiber or window curtains as NIST claims it does. So even if this material was aluminum, they would still have to explain what heated it to over 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit to get it to glow orange-yellow like that.
Thermite is a very active chemical reaction. It produces molten iron spheres. The spheres you get from thermite matches the spheres that I see in the World Trade Center desk.
They finally finished this Molly cereal, which shows that it was very hot, and it looks certainly like it was molten at one point. And it has molybdenum, yes, but guess what else it has? Aluminum. In thermite, you have aluminum, but you don't have to have iron oxide necessarily. You can use molybdenum trioxide. And when you do, you're going to get these Molly spheres like this. In other words, this is evidence for another class of thermite reaction. When USGS sent us this molybdenum cereal, that was coated.
These chips that are 1/16 of an inch long that have the unignited thermite in them. This is high-tech stuff, nano-sized particles of iron and aluminum. This is extremely explosive stuff. This stuff is not made in a cave in Afghanistan.
Stephen Jones's theory was not looked at by the official investigators.
We feel very strongly that there was no credible hypothesis associated with thermite.
The NFPA 921 code requires that investigators look for thermite residues. And they have not done it. And so, we're saying, well, do your job, guys.